In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at sunskyMysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
Well, hello everybody. Bill Zam here. As you can see, it is September 26th. A little bit over 1 month since we had our last live show. As you know, I had some serious health problems. I'm going to tell you about those health problems in just a moment, but first I would like to thank everybody for their emails, their thoughts, and their prayers during this time of illness. Now, let me explain to you what happened, and I'm going to explain to you why it's important to you, the viewing audience. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that happens to be watching this on YouTube. We are not doing a live stream as yet. I need to get my feet under me and make sure I'm not going to have more health issues while I am on the air, so I'm going to be recording the shows for the time being. The show archives are at the website that you see in the corner of the screen here, USSAMichigan.com. That is also where I have all of my various writings and my take on what is going on in the world today. Now, here's what happened. And pay close attention to this because, well, since I became ill, I know several other people that actually have the same illness that I had, and it kills people. Now, July 13th, 2:45 p.m., I got a tremendous pain that went from right here, this corner of my collarbone, went around my neck all the way to my spine. At the same time, my right arm felt like somebody was shoving nails into it all the way up and down it. Now, I thought at first I was having a heart attack, but it's on the wrong side. And it wasn't anywhere near the chest. It was up here in my shoulder. So, what I did is I immobilized the arm for a couple of days, waited for the pain to go away, and everything was fine. A few days after that, I got a tremendous pain in my chest. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, there's your heart attack right there. Au contraire. Let me explain exactly what happened. And those of you that have watched the archives over there on YouTube or listened to the audio version of the show over on USSAMichigan.com will know that long about the beginning of August, I said, I'm going to pull out all the stops and I'm going to tell you folks like it is, because there's too many important things happening in the world right now to pussyfoot around, and they're probably going to aim their heart attack gun at me and knock me off. Take that for however you want. I really don't care. I am not putting my eggs in that particular conspiracy basket. Now, a couple of days after I had the sharp pain in my shoulder, I got a really bad pain here in the center of my chest. These are called your costus joints right here. Because when you breathe, you have joints in there that your ribs hinge on. So when you breathe and everything expands, that's the way your body works. When you have open heart surgery and they have to separate your rib cage, this is where they do it, is right in there. Now, the pain was unbelievable. It felt like I had a couple of broken ribs, is what it felt like. But how do you break ribs just sitting around? or just standing around. I didn't do anything. I didn't get any injuries or anything to warrant broken ribs. So I wasn't sure what was going on. At the same time, if you were watching the shows along about the middle of August, early part of August, you noted that I had a real bad cough. I could barely take a breath. I'd get a very sharp pain right here in the center of my chest, and I wouldn't be able to talk. I thought it was all due to this. So, after a couple of weeks of this, I go to the doctor. And the doctor says what you have is called costochondritis. It's an inflammation of these joints right here. So he puts me on a very strong antibiotic specifically for this. They call it a Z-Pack. There's only 5 tablets and it stays in your system for a long time. So I took those and the pain went away, but the coughing was still there. And I couldn't get out more than 2 or 3 words. And it was getting to the point where I couldn't go up a flight of stairs. I'd walk up a flight of stairs out here at the studio, and I'd have to stop halfway up. I'd have to stop halfway up the stairs because I was out of breath. I just couldn't breathe. Not that I wasn't breathing. It's that the pain was so bad and the coughing was so bad, I could only sip my breath in. So I go back to the doctor, and he says, we're going to have to get an x-ray. So I go to the University of Michigan Briarwood campus over there in Ann Arbor, and I get the x-ray. And the next day, he's on the phone. He's calling me in the evening. And he said, they told me, you need to take a few days off of work. So I'm at home, and he calls me at home and says, you better come in tomorrow. So I go in tomorrow, and he said what the x-ray showed is that I have an enlarged heart, very enlarged, were his exact words, and my lungs were filling with fluid, which is not good news by any stretch of the imagination. So they ordered a ultrasound of my heart, and going from the parking lot into the University of Michigan Heart Center, I could only walk like 5 steps at a time before I'd have to stop and rest. I mean, that's how bad this was. I was in, it was like, this is wheelchair time. You have to be wheeled around in a wheelchair to go anywhere. So they go in there and they do the ultrasound while the fly is buzzing around my head, because apparently it is the night of the flies here at Saline Entertainment Television. So I go there, they do the ultrasound and everything, and I go back into the doctor a couple days later. By now he's got me on water pills that take water, fluid, out of your lungs and from around your heart, which is this medication right here. Works very well, I must say. And they get that back and they said your heart function is okay. The valves and everything are working properly. However, your aorta has almost doubled in size. So now you need to get an ultrasound every 6 months, because when it gets too big, they're going to have to do an operation and replace my aorta. So they got me on the pills to get the fluid out of my lungs and my heart, and now they got me on disability for 2 weeks. So I'm on disability. I go back to the doctor's office every couple of days, and now they got me on disability for an additional 2 weeks. Fortunately, we have Aflac, and the duck came to visit with much needed cash, which is just as good as money, by the way. So after a few weeks, everything started to subside. I went back to work on the 17th, and by this time they now have me on a medication that helps control my blood pressure, because while I had the fluid around the heart and the issue with the lungs, which turns out to be a virus. It was a virus in my lungs. My doctor says that he could put 20 people in a room, one person would get this virus and the rest of them would be fine. You just happen to be breathing in when one of these live virus spores is floating through the air. And so he's got me on these pills that control my blood pressure, because at the peak of this, my blood pressure got down to 105/40, which is starting to get dangerously low. Even now, July 13th, this has been going July 13th, August 13th, September 13th. This has been going on for over 3 months. My blood pressure is still all over the place. I'm still having issues. I can only work a limited time. I'm back to work, but I'm not back at work full time. This is obviously the first show that I've been able to do in over a month, and it has been a very, very tough road. Last Friday, I had been at work, and I thought, I've been at work for a week. I'll just go ahead and work a whole 8 hours. After 7 hours and 10 minutes, my heart started to fibrillate, and I passed out. So now I'm going to the cardiologist because I still have some heart problems. But here's my piece of advice for you, because it turns out that I know somebody who has a friend that is a musician. He was in Europe. He started having problems breathing. He coughing and stuff like that. Dry cough, no phlegm coming up. And he didn't want to go to a hospital in Europe because of the health insurance issues and everything else, so he waited until he came back in the United States. He had the same type of virus in his lungs that got into his heart. He was in quarantine for 16 weeks. Do you got any idea how expensive a hospital stay is for 16 weeks? And they've got IV drips, they've got drains in his lungs to drain out the fluid and everything else. If you start getting issues with your breathing and your chest, go to the doctor right away. Don't put it off. Don't say, oh, I just got the flu or something like that, okay? Because this stuff is going around, and I'm going to tell you an anecdotal story. Anybody can get this. I now know several people that have had this. And here is an interesting side note. Excuse me while I catch my breath for a minute, because I still can't talk for hours at a time in order to really do this show. My intent was to do a full show tonight. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to because I'm losing my breath. I'm losing steam at this point. A year and a half ago, my stepson, he grew up with a bunch of kids, and there were he had basically 3 really good friends. So there were 4 kids in the group, and the parents, we'd take turns. One set of parents would have them on one weekend, and they'd stay with another family the next weekend, and so on and so on. And we're all a very tight-knit group. Well, these kids, they have other friends besides themselves. And they have a couple of friends called the Ryans. Ryan and Ryan. Well, as it turns out, one of the, I believe it was the father of one of the Ryans, he's just sitting there and he keels over and dies. It was some type of deal with his heart. He just had kind of like a little virus that attacked his heart, and he died. Just fell right over. Now, 6 months later, and those of you that have watched the show all along know that one of the kids, his name was Nathan, he had a fiance. He was getting married, and I won't tell you that story because it's still a very tough story to tell. But he goes outside and he calls his fiance on his cell phone. Says, honey, I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Hang up the cell phone and drop dead on the spot. Turns out it was a little virus that attacked his heart. 6 months after that, one of the other parents in our circle of friends, he was a minister. He actually married his own son, and he was out going for a jog, and of course he was at the funeral and everything. He was out going for a jog and he dropped dead. Some kind of virus in the heart. 6 months after that, I get this tremendous pain in my collarbone, and everything that happened to me happened to me. Now, I believe 2 things. Actually, more than two things, but two important things. First of all, I used to run marathons. I was a very heavy runner. I ran a lot of miles. My dream was to run in the ultramarathon in Death Valley. That's what I was training for. I was training for, I believe it was about 3.5 years for that marathon. And many, you're not just running like around the block a couple of times. You're running 20, 25 miles a day. You're running like crazy. You're running everywhere. You're running in your sleep. And you're riding a bike to get your stamina up. You're lifting weights to build up your muscular system. So I have a heart like from a racehorse, essentially. Very strong heart. I believe that is one of the things that saved me. The other thing that I believe that also had a role to play is that all of you know from watching our previous shows is that I am in fact a Christian. And I believe that all of the prayers from all of the people that were praying for me and all of the people that were sending me their good thoughts, I believe that had a role to play in preventing me from losing the final battle. Now, a lot of people, and I'm going to end this particular episode with this. A lot of people have asked me, Bill, you must have really been praying hard for God to save your life. And my answer to them is no, I did not. I did not at all. I had no business doing that. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you my thought process in why, and maybe that maybe it'll register with somebody out there in the viewing audience at some point. Because remember, if we can get through to just one person, we've done our job with all the money that we've spent on this equipment and the production costs and everything else. I did not pray for myself to get better because, quite frankly, that is essentially none of my business. Because what God's will is what God's will is. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. There's no... I am very uncomfortable sitting there begging God to save me. I will pray to God to help me stop sinning in a certain way. I will pray to God to give me strength for whatever whatever bad habit I happen to have picked up. But I will not pray to God and ask Him, hey man, you know, if it's my time to go, I'd prefer not to. Can you give me an extension on this life deal? If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. There is no. I'm not gonna do that. It just simply does not make any sense to me as a Christian, believing what I do, that Jesus Christ died for my sins have been forgiven, and when it is my time, it is my time. If I was supposed to die because of that, then I was supposed to die because of that. Obviously, I did not, and there is a reason why I did not. I don't know what that reason is at this point. I'm still trying to figure that out. Now, tomorrow night, for those of you watching on the YouTube channel, we will be doing a live show. I believe we're going to start it at 6 p.m. That is 6 p.m. Or for those of you on the West Coast, that would be 3 p.m. 3 p.m. in the afternoon, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So, that is about it. That's the story of my illness. And remember, If you start feeling a pain in your chest, okay, if it's over here on this side, could be a heart attack. Number one, I want to take an aspirin. That's the other thing I did. As soon as I started feeling this pain, I took an aspirin right away. You want to get to your doctor before it really becomes serious. And yes, I know we got Taxamageddon, we got the Obamacare thing, and everything else. But you should still be able to see your primary care physician that you have right now. So, that's about it for tonight. We're going to go ahead and upload this recorded show. We're going to put the archive of this up on USSA Michigan, just the audio side of it. And tomorrow night, which is going to be, what the heck is tomorrow night going to be? Tomorrow night is going to be Thursday, the 27th of September. We will be broadcasting live, and the broadcasting website will be ussamichigan.com. Stop by and take a look at all the things that I've written while I was laid up and on disability. So that's about it for tonight. I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time and watching this video. So I really appreciate it, and we will see all of you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. live, USSA Michigan, where we will take up where we left off on my last live broadcast.